All right, ladies and gentlemen, to start us right on time, I'm going to go over 4 instructions, and then we will be moving into the press conference. To begin with, I'm going to go over the time. For the first 10 minutes of this press conference, public relations agents will be introducing actors. For the next 15 minutes, I will be questioning actors. For 20 minutes after that, historians and investigative reporters will be questioning actors, followed at the end of the press conference by a 5-minute debrief with your instructions of what to do next. I would like to remind actors that you should be completely in character throughout this entire press conference. If you need to confer with your public relations agents, lean to the side. If you've been asked a question and you need to confer, say, please excuse me for a moment, I need to confer with my public relations agent. Computers may be used, but should not be relied upon to read off of. And investigative reporters and historians, as well as actors and public relations agents, should wait to participate until called on by the moderator, which is myself. To begin, starting with Locke, and then moving to the right, it is time for the public relations agents to introduce actors. You will have 1 minute each. Starting with Locke. Tatiana, you may stand and introduce your actor. You have 1 minute, staying right in your seat. Standing right in front of it.
Oh my God.
Good. Begin.
This is John. Oh my God, this is John Locke. He went to Oxford to study medicine, and he believes that men should not be held against their will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hobbs, please stand and Hobbs, public relations agent, please stand and introduce your actor. You may begin.
Thomas Hobbes. He went to Oxford. He studied philosophy. He taught many of the brightest minds. He taught the Prince of Wales. He believes that absolute monarchy is the best. You cannot do better. The absolute monarch is sent by God. Why would you argue with God? God is the guy. You can't argue with him. He will always do what you want. Thus, absolute monarchy is best. People are too selfish to be able to make their own decisions because they always want what's best for them and them alone.
Thank you, sir. Voltaire, please stand and introduce your actor.
I did Voltaire. Voltaire was born in Paris in 1954. He was an enlightened philosopher. He adopted the name Voltaire in 1718. He showed a talent for writing and poetry, and poetry was actually his first published work. And Voltaire was a person who stuck to his cause. He didn't let anybody change his mind, and that's what I like about him. And also, Voltaire's ideal form of government was an absolute monarchy that had an enlightened philosophy.
Thank you. Montesquieu, please stand and introduce your actor.
So, our group is Montesquieu, and Montesquieu was born in 1689 to a very wealthy family. He went to college and studied science and history, eventually becoming a lawyer for the government. He then became a member of the Bordeaux and French Academies of Science and studied the governments of Europe and criticized them. In 1721, he gained fame for publishing the Persian Letters, which explained why different countries required different governments in story form. In 1748, he published The Spirit of the Laws. In this book, he talked about his views on government. He criticized the government of France and said he thought would be the perfect government. He believes that there should be a monarchy with limited powers with a system of checks and balances in place. As of today, Montesquieu's ideas are used in the U.S. with the separation of powers, 3 branches, and in England with a constitutional monarchy and parliament.
Thank you, Montesquieu. Rousseau, please stand and introduce your actor.
This guy's name is Rousseau. Rousseau's mom died when he was 14, and his father, a failed watchmaker, had been forced to leave Geneva to avoid being imprisoned for fighting a duel. Rousseau believes that everyone can give up themselves and are born good, but also thinks that social institutions like government, schools, the arts, and the media corrupt naturally certain individuals. Rousseau thought the ideal form of government would be one that allows every person to have a say, like a direct democracy.
Thank you. Plato, please stand and introduce your actor.
Plato was born into a very rich family, and his father died when he was very young. He later on became a student of Socrates, and then later on he established his own academy known as Academy of Athens, and then one of his students was Aristotle, and he later on became a writer and leader.
Thank you. And Aristotle, please stand to introduce your actor.
On the very year 384 BC, one of the greatest philosophers of all time was born. 374 BC, he became an orphan. 367 BC, 17 years later, he was sent to Plato's academy. 343 BC, he tutored Alexander the Great. He fled to Athens in fear for his connection with Alexander the Great. 335 BC, he founded his own school where he spent most of his life studying, teaching, and writing. 326 BC, he died. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest philosopher of all time, Aristotle.
Very good. For the next 15 minutes, I'm going to ask your actors a series of questions, addressing the actor and asking questions concerning the nature of humanity and the ideal government. All philosophers will have a chance to respond with their point of view, and then we will open questions from the audience, from our investigative reporters and historians. To begin with, Hobbes, can people be trusted to govern?
No,
Why?
because they are inherently selfish and evil.
Thank you. Voltaire, what is the ideal form of government?
The ideal form of government is an absolute monarchy with an enlightened monarch, because people in general are not going to be willing to change their minds when presented with new ideas, and their ideals are going to stay the same, even if they're wrong or inherently flawed. And a normal monarchy, or an absolute monarchy with an unenlightened monarch, the monarch will oftentimes make decisions for the good of himself and not for the people. But if he's an enlightened monarch, he's willing to make decisions that he knows will work the best. And when he's advised by his philosophers, he will take those ideas into account.
Thank you, Voltaire. Locke, what is the ideal form of government?
Constitutional monarchy. Social contract between the people and the king, because the monarch has the power to say, has power, but he has to say it in the bounds of the Constitution.
Thank you, Locke. Montesquieu, can people be trusted to govern?
No, because when people gain too much power, they will hang on to it, and they will keep it until they die, and they will become corrupt and steal from rule.
Rousseau, what is the ideal form of government? Why?
Everyone can have a say, and people can govern themselves.
Plato, what is the ideal form of government?
The ideal form of government is a philosopher.
Why?
The wise people should be the leaders, because they'll make good decisions.
Aristotle, what does the perfect society look like?
Perfect society looks like a society where middle class is evening out rich and poor, and most of the citizens are educated and very virtuous.
Thank you. Locke, what is the role or purpose of government?
Keep people in line, but I believe that people don't need government because they're born with natural rights, so
you. Hobbes, are all people created equal? Why or why not?
Yes, because oh,
Reminding all actors that to confer with public relations agents, just say, excuse me for a minute, I would need to confer with my public relations agent, at which point either the public relations agent or the actor may answer the question.
People are created equal because while some may be better than others in some ways, they are still not as good as others in other ways. So overall, it all averages out. So we're all created equal.
Montesquieu, is the nature of man inherently good or evil? Meaning, are all people born either good or bad, or do they become that way?
People are born innocent, but then corrupted by society once they grow up.
How does that occur?
People teach them the wrong things, and they just teach their kids or whoever the wrong things, and they just keep going.
Rousseau, do you think people should have freedom of speech? Why or why not?
I believe people should. But people should. People should have direct things because people are born good and can be trusted to govern themselves.
Thank you. Plato, what does it take to be a good leader? What are the qualities of the ideal leader?
Excuse me. They have to be wise enough so that they can make the good decisions and yeah.
Aristotle, who should rule the people? Who should decide who should rule the people?
Excuse me, let me confer with my middle class should keep people in line because the poor people might want revenge and the rich people might want more pride. So the middle class with no excess, like wanting revenge or excess wanting more would be a good leader and even things out.
Locke, why should the average person listen to your ideas?
That people should listen to his ideas because if the people have the world, like they have society like better and they their lives are protected more.
Thank you. Montesquieu, what does the perfect society look like?
The perfect society looks like uh, um, the best society is a constitutional monarchy where people have a say with everything that happens in the government.
Rousseau, why should the average person listen to your ideas? How will it make their life better?
so they won't need a leader to lead them. Because if a leader gets too much power, it's gonna be worse for them. It'll be better for them to just govern themselves.
Hobbes, do people have the right to replace their government?
No.
Why not?
Because the ruler is sent from God and it's their best interest.
Voltaire, when, if ever, should a government be replaced?
Think that a government should not be replaced unless the leader is making decisions that are maybe killing large parts of the population or causing significant harm. But otherwise, the leader should be trusted to solve the problems and maybe advised by the people, but not actually replaced.
Plato, are all people created equal? Why or why not?
No, because some people are more intelligent than others because they can make better decisions.
Aristotle, why should the average person listen to your ideas? How will it make their life better?
Excuse me while I improve my they should listen to me because everyone needs to be inspired and they need to find a purpose in life and to reach towards that goal.
Locke, can people be trusted to govern themselves?
Yes, because they have the right to govern. They have the power to govern people because they do. People are born naturally equal rights.
Voltaire, are all people created equal? Why or why not?
All people are created equal because when they are born, they don't know evil or good. And as I said, it is not birth, but virtue that makes the difference.
Montesquieu, what is the role or purpose of government?
The purpose of government is to keep the country from getting corrupt or going into full chaos, and to give, like, stop crime and
Hobbes, same question. What is the role or purpose of government?
Keep the people from going crazy and into anarchy. Yeah.
Rousseau, same question. What is the role or purpose of government?
Repeat the question again.
What is the role or purpose of government?
Okay. Shoot. To keep everybody in line, and so then to protect the people's rights, natural rights. Yeah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the time where we will begin a 25-minute session where investigative reporters and historians will have a chance to question their philosophers and the other philosophers on the stand. Please raise your hand to be called along if you are in the audience, and clearly state which philosopher you are going to address. You may raise hands with questions now. John Locke.
Locke, why do you believe people can govern themselves?
Each their forms and mentalities and reasons, and were born all good and equal.
Questions from our audience? Montesquieu.
Rousseau, if you say that society has corrupted people's natural goodness, how can you expect a direct democracy to work?
Repeat that. Read it louder, please.
If you say that society has corrupted people's natural goodness, how can you expect a direct democracy to work?
If you are unable to answer the question, please state that you are unable to answer the question.
I am not able to answer the question.
Other questions from our audience? Keeping in mind that each individual in the audience needs to ask at least 3 questions. Yes, sir.
This is Steflato. Did you think that the most talented people should rule because you yourself were very talented? Did you want power?
We just wanted to make the best decision for everyone.
Audience? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Montesquieu, how have your thoughts on government affected the U.S.?
My thoughts on government have put the U.S. on a very great position because the government is not corrupt and it is leading a very fine.
Follow-up question, how have your thoughts influenced the United States government? What parts of your theories have directly impacted the formation of the United States government?
Repeat the question, please.
How have your thoughts and theories shaped the structure of the United States government?
My thoughts and theories shape the government because now the United States they're using the system of checks and balances and separation of powers, and they have 3 different branches.
Audience questions. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Locke, why do you think everyone is born good and can make good decisions when there are crimes such as stealing, murder, and rape?
Because God gave people the same rights. So that's how they were born.
Audience? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hobbs, what event in history proves that your view on government is correct?
What was the question?
What event in history proves that your view on government is correct?
The English Civil War occurred, which was the time of political unrest which we grew up through, and when the king was overthrown, King Charles I, the people created a parliament. However, the parliament soon was disbanded as people are not capable of ruling themselves, and a new proper absolute monarch was put into place.
This question is directed for Aristotle. You say that any form of government doesn't look out for the common good of everybody. So what are you suggesting? Are you saying that people just run wild without a leader?
Can you repeat that a little louder?
You're saying that like any kind of government is not good for everybody. So what are you suggesting? Like, do people just run around without a leader?
I don't suggest that like they run around without a leader. I think that like all government, all forms of government have some sort of flaw. Like, let's take democracy for instance. If everyone thinks they're equal, then they're thinking they're equal like completely. They're not thinking about if they're like intelligently equal than like another person, and this might lead to stuff.
Aristotle.
Bob, who created the social contract? Who created the social contract?
The people and the government have a social contract in which the people give up their rights because they know that if they have them, then they will basically anarchy will reign. So they give their rights to the king or queen, an absolute monarch, to keep everything under control so everybody can live a little happier.
Plato.
Mr. Locke, what inspired you to write those encouraging statements and principles in your philosophy?
Please repeat the question.
What inspired you to write those encouraging statements and principles in your philosophy?
What encouraged? Try one more time. Try next time.
What inspired you to write those encouraging statements and principles in your philosophy?
My main discoverer, Dr. John Owens, influenced me by teaching me about religions and how people shouldn't be punished if you believe in dictation.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your opinions? Oh, Mr. Montesquieu. What are your opinions on current governments that are falling apart? What do you suggest they do?
I think that if they would just follow my ideas of separation of power and checks and balances, then we would have a better government and not so corrupt.
Guys, especially because there's background noise coming in, please make sure you're speaking at least the volume I'm talking at right now so that the microphones can pick you up and you can receive credit for your questions and answers. Audience. Yes, ma'am.
Hobbes, since you believe that people should be ruled under an absolute monarchy, what do you think will happen when people make their own decisions?
Chaos will reign.
Hobbs, please expand. Why?
We have a moment to talk about this. The reason that chaos will reign is because since everybody is treated equal, then people have about the same ability to deal with stuff. And so if two people want the same thing that they both can't have, then they will fight over it. And since people are naturally selfish, they will do whatever it takes to get it. And if you don't have an absolute monarch to keep them under control, then they will do whatever it takes, which might include murder or stealing or any of the other incredibly unethical, horrendous monstrosities.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hobbes, since you think that everybody is selfish and wicked, wouldn't an absolute monarch also be selfish and wicked, so that your ruler would would also create chaos?
No, because he's chosen by God.
So then not everybody is selfish and wicked, but some people are?
Yeah. Most people are. Except for the absolute monarch.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you believe that people are naturally bad when some people only bring good to the world?
It would help if we could hear you.
Please speak up.
Why do you believe that people are naturally bad when some people only bring good to the world?
While there are people that do good, they're usually doing it to seem good. Nobody that is actually good, they just want to seem good because it will gain them politically, and that means that they gain an advantage. So they're still doing it for themselves. It just appears that they're doing it for somebody else. And people are naturally selfish because they want stuff for themselves. They don't really care what anything happens to anything else. People are hugely selfish.
Yes, ma'am?
Locke, do you believe that people can always make good decisions for themselves?
Yes, because
Louder, please, Locke.
Yes, because it always backs to that people were born with the mentality to reason with everybody and to love them.
Locke.
Mr. Voltaire, what do you define as an enlightened monarch?
An enlightened monarch is someone who's going to be willing to adjust their opinions and ideals based on new information that they receive, who's going to be willing to accept information from their philosophers and really consider everything they are told and try to make the best decisions for the good of all the people in the government.
Mr. Rousseau, what about society corrupts human beings?
What did you say again?
What about society corrupts human beings?
How it corrupts human beings?
What about society corrupts
Well,
human beings?
society institutions like government, schools, arts, and the media corrupt the human beings, like how they teach them and like what they go through it affects them and changes them.
Hit it.
So, why do you believe your ideal government is effective?
I think it's effective because everybody could have a say and everybody could be happy.
Why did you believe in a supreme being?
I believe in supreme being because while conventional religion has many flaws and teaches people to be superstitious, I do not think that it would be possible for the whole universe to exist without some sort of higher power.
Plato again.
Mr. Hobbes, so as you said, most people are selfish and wicked, but some of those people could be so selfish that they would be lying about being chosen by God just to be a monarch. What would, are you,
Are you suggesting that people would lie to become an absolute monarch?
Yes.
Is that what you're suggesting? Well, the thing is that if you are an absolute monarch, you have a lot of power, but you also have a lot of responsibility. And if you can't make the correct decisions, as Charles I wasn't able to do in the English Civil War, people will overthrow you. So the absolute monarch knows it's in his best interest, if he wants to stay in control, to do stuff that won't annoy the people too much.
Aristotle.
This question for Aristotle. Did you believe that people can govern themselves?
No.
Why?
Because the lower class and the upper class want different things, and the middle class is free of wanting those things. So the middle class would be the best government. So not all the people could govern themselves, but educated middle class people could.
Starting with Montesquieu, then moving on to Rousseau.
Hobbes, how do you propose an absolute monarchy would include the ideas of the people?
What? Are you asking, so basically you're asking why would he keep the people's interests in mind?
No, I'm asking how would the ideas of the people be heard in the absolute
How would
monarchy?
he keep people's interests in mind? An absolute monarch is allowed to have advisors like say maybe a couple representatives, maybe one from each city or something like that, to make sure that everybody is being accounted for, so that if he's going to make some new tax, it's not going to go over really badly in some towns, and people might rebel.
Your you believe everyone is born equal. How about your monarch?
Monarch is sent from God. So above us.
Well, Sarah, how many times were you sent to jail?
I was not sent to jail very many times, but I was often exiled because the French government was not willing to consider any ideas that criticized them. And that's like, I supported the absolute monarchy, but they were clearly unenlightened monarchs, and they were not willing to change based on ideas I would present to them. They would rather send me away.
John Locke?
Mr. Locke, what were your beliefs about human rights?
Humans are all born good people and with a blank slate, and to fill that slate is with experience.
Montesquieu, this question is for you. What religion do you believe in and why?
I believe in Christianity. I'm gonna. I believe in Christianity because I believe in their beliefs.
Locke?
Mr. Rousseau, if you believe that people were born good and made evil by society, why would you want a democracy?
Can you say that again, please?
Mr. Rousseau, if you believe that people were born good and made evil by society, why would you want a direct democracy?
What was that last one?
Why would you want a direct democracy? Sorry, this is democracy.
Russell, the question is, if people have been corrupted by society, how are they fit to participate in a democracy?
Mr. Montesquieu, other than the U.S., which other governments use your ideas?
Well, England kind of uses my ideas. They have huge branches of government, parliament, and
Guys, we're moving into the last 5 minutes of this question time. Keep in mind that if you have not participated, your grade will be a 0. Go.
Oh, Aristotle, why did you open your own school?
I opened my own school because Plato inspired me to like want to teach other people and like kind of like kind of like
Aristotle founded his own school because he wanted to teach others and he wanted to inspire others and he thought that if he inspired him, he could also like teach them like to think differently and to also like make change the world basically.
This is more Voltaire. Why do you want religious freedom?
Religious freedom is important to me because people should, even though I disagree with many of the major religions, I still believe that it's not something you should punish people for, and we should accept them. I once said it does not require great art or magnificently trained eloquence to prove that Christians should tolerate each other. I, however, am going further. I say that we should regard all men as our brothers. What? The Turk my brother? The Chinaman my brother? The Jew? The Siam? Yes, without doubt. Are we not all children of the same Father and creatures of the same God?
Pause. How will the ruler keep everybody under control?
The people will give up their free will because they are known it is for the best. They trust the ruler to make the right decisions.
Mr. Locke, why did you believe that a monarchy with a social contract was the best kind of government?
The monarch has power, but has to stay within the bounds of the Constitution. And
And it's also sometimes also influenced because the people come together to form something, and then they feel like the king is not a kind government that they can.
Aristotle?
At the age of Aristotle. At the age of 18, you attended the academy. What did you study there?
I studied astronomy, logic, physics, biology, politics.
Law. What happens if the people aren't informed enough and make the wrong decisions?
The people will make the wrong decisions because they come together to form, they bring their minds together to form something, so the end result will happen.
Aristotle, did you believe slavery was good?
Yes.
Why?
It was a natural way of life.
Remaining questions from our audience?
Mr. Montesquieu, what are some of your accomplishments?
For 11 years, I presided over the criminal division of the parliament named the Darnell. I also wrote many famous literary books, and they made me very famous, like The Spirit of the Laws, which I wrote in 1748, and The Persian Letters, which I wrote in 1721. And they
So, what is your ideal form of government?
Didn't you just ask me that?
No.
Well, our ideal form of government is a direct democracy, because Rousseau thinks that people can be trusted to govern themselves.
Plato, what if no one has the talent to do a certain job in society?
What was the question again?
What if no one has the talent to do a certain job in society?
Well, if they don't have the talent, they will be placed in the right job they will do.
Wow, this question's for you. What religion do you believe in and why?
Well, a question was addressed to you.
The question is, what religion do you believe in and why?
I believe in no religion because God put okay. I believe in no religion because God made everyone equal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, final question.
Locke, did you believe that monarchs had a divine right?
No, because then they wouldn't be born equal. Everyone has the same
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please close computers. You do not need to pack